Good morning, everybody. As always, welcome to the channel and thanks for stopping by. My name is Rich. I'm the channel host. Normally, here we're talking about building our small drone businesses and doing online courses with students and just generally enjoying building a drone business. That's usually what we've been talking about. For those of you who've been following along recently, you know that I had some medical issues come up, and I'm going to get more into those later. And when we get into those, we can cut it off, and then it's just a conversation between us. But for all of the drone operators out there, if you're building your small drone businesses, I think the number one takeaway that I've had over the past 3 months is to have more drone operator connections in your area. Um, we make agreements and contracts with clients all the time, and we need to be able to fulfill those contracts. And unfortunately, the past few months with my hernia surgery, it has taken a turn to where it's still impacting my business today. So I think one of the first things that I want to say to all other drone pilots is really find some more friends and network with them. I've been trying for years. We only have a couple of drone operators in our area. Most of the major drone operators are out of the Phoenix area, and while I've got a couple friends who are down there, normally it's too much of a ride to have them come up and do some of my flights for me. So find more connections. And I've never not been looking for connections, by the way. Additionally, think about your backup plans. You know, this is a small business, maybe it's a side hustle, or maybe it's a business you're building. Make sure that you can have some savings on hand to get through the rough times like we're experiencing right now. And before I go on to my piece of it, which is going to be much longer, while we're flying and things, we do not fly under the influence of anything. I have had painkillers at a point during the hernia side of things, and when I had those, there's no flying whatsoever. We managed to move some things around for a couple of clients, so that worked out for them. But now it's getting more difficult to work around some of these things. So now we're gonna talk about me, okay? I want to flesh this thing out, and I want this on YouTube as a record. Um, my initial issue came up um, December 15th of 2023. After meeting with clients on that day, I felt some excruciating pain. Um, and once the clients were gone, did a little self-exam and found something that shouldn't be there. So that was a bit of a freak out. Jody and I didn't know what to make of it, and what it was is a hernia on my right side. I didn't know if maybe it was an appendix or something. Turned out it wasn't. So that was on a Friday or Saturday. So I made an online appointment with my GP at the second day of the week. But over the weekend, it got so painful, we didn't know what it was that we took me into the ER that weekend. So, like, I think maybe the 17th or maybe it was the 18th. So ended up in the ER, had no diagnosis, hadn't talked to any physicians yet, and didn't know what was happening. Um, got into the hospital once they admitted me. They hit me with morphine. It was just, I told them where the pain was, and I told them where the giant hard-boiled egg on me was. And they didn't look at it. I'm not kidding. The giant bloated thing on my right-hand side was not physically examined at all, wasn't touched. They morphined me, shoved me in a CAT scan tube, and after about 4 hours, they came out and told me everything's fine, it's nothing, go home. And so a few days later, I went to the GP. GP's husband did a manual exam and said I needed to go back to the ER right now. So I did that. I went back to the ER on the advice of my physician. Once again, they tried to do the same thing. I said no to the morphine. I was not looking for a painkiller. I don't need that. I wanted to know what was happening. So they shoved me in a CAT scan tube again and said, no, I'm a-okie dokie. So waited almost, it was, well, a little less than a week. Went back to the GP because Christmas. and holidays and fun things. And so after Christmas, I saw the GP again, who rigorously insisted that I go back to the ER again. I did. The next day I went back to the ER and they'd actually sent a stat report over for me that I needed to be seen. I got brought in. Um, I met with the ER physician, and he was the first physician in the ER who fully looked at the hernia and said, "Oh yeah, that's a hernia." So he made some calls over to the to the surgeon, and we got on the slate with the surgeon for January 8th for an exam. Now, this is where we're going to get into some things in a few that are bothering me with the state of healthcare. So it took 3 times, 2 out of 3 times, to get a negative diagnosis because they didn't actually do everything they needed to. And the third time was only because my GP actually got in touch and sent something over to the ER. And I was told, by the way, that that was not really the right way to do things, and GPs shouldn't be doing that. Well, in the meantime, I'm running around for a couple weeks now in pain, and the only way that I could get comfortable was to lie on my back. Sitting up, like I'm doing now, was excruciating, and standing up as well. So lying down was it. So I laid down for a couple of weeks. We got me in for January 18th for the surgery. The surgery went well, and I was on my way to recovery. It was a slower recovery than the standard one because they didn't do a laparoscopic one. They cut me open big, over 4 inches actually, and then a bunch of staples afterward. So I started going through the recovery process, and a couple weeks ago I was making it around the neighborhood, good to fly again, everything's going good. And then suddenly I felt like I pulled something 2 Saturdays ago. This is 2 weeks ago. And I said, uh-oh, probably because I've been on my back so much and the surgery and everything's still working out. So I went over to the GPs again, and hernia number 2, according to the GP. So he believes that there's a second hernia on my left side. So they put in a request to the surgeon's office again. And the surgeon's office came back with the earliest they can see me is April 8th. Today is March 1st. So a month and another week. And I've already been back and forth with doctors and things, in pain. I'm not taking any of those heavy pain medications or anything. They really don't sit well with me. So it's been Advil and Tylenol, and it's not really helping. So at this point, I am 5 weeks out from being seen by someone with a 5-minute physical test, where they grab and tell you to cough. So I get to wait 5 more weeks, and then if it is another hernia, then they'll get me on the schedule again, and it'll probably be weeks out for that. So the bottom line here is, right now I'm in a lot of pain too. Whatever it is, if I think it's a pull, but it's in such a location to where lying down hurts, sitting on it hurts, standing hurts, and we did end up in the ER last weekend because it woke me up in the middle of the night. It was so excruciating, and it just would not stop. And after a couple of hours of walking around in the house, I couldn't take it anymore. So we had Jody take me over. So the ER doc there did a manual exam, physical hernia exam. And they also put me through the CAT scan again. And the CAT scan showed nothing, like it did back in December twice. And the ER doc says he doesn't think it's a hernia. But whether or not it's a hernia or a pull or anything, I can't see the person who's going to give the final diagnosis for another month. So this is Prescott medicine right now. Jody spent some time last week calling around to other surgical offices who all said, hey, don't lose that appointment. April 8th is great. We're further out than that. So there you go. So there's my update I was healing, I was mending. Something has happened that's not been identified, um, and won't be identified for a while longer. So as you can imagine, I'm looking at my flight schedules and things, and with the way I am today, we have a Sunday flight, and I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do the Sunday flight or not. I'm thinking probably no. Now, why did I want to share this on YouTube? I actually want to keep a record of this process. Um, from the first diagnosis, they had actually wanted to put me out in February just to see them. And thanks to the GP calling over and the final physical exam with that ER doc, the third one, we got things moving, but it was still an excruciating couple weeks. Honestly, at this point right now, another 5 weeks, I don't know where I'm going to be at that point in time. But yeah, so there's the status update of where we're at. And if you notice me looking away and stuff, I'm very uncomfortable right now. But I wanted to share this, and I also wanted to let everyone know I'll continue working on the classes and things when I can. Usually I can sit down for about 15 minutes before it starts getting too painful. So what I do is I'll do some recordings, I'll walk away, watch a cartoon, come back, do some more recordings. That's how I've been doing it. I don't know how consistently I'm going to be posting over the next couple of weeks. It's going to depend on how I feel and what's happening next. But I wanted to share this whole thing with you because I don't think it's just Prescott. Trying to get an appointment with a physician, I think in the ER, if you're not openly bleeding or knocked out, then you're good enough to get sent home with someone giving you some kind of horrible painkiller. But here's what I'd like for those of you who've hung in this long, because I know most people won't be interested in this. I would love suggestions on how I can get in sooner. I'm not trying to get ahead of anyone, but I right now we're not functioning here, and I don't want this to kill my business. In part because it's my livelihood, but also in part I really enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing the classes. I enjoy the questions and comments from subscribers on YouTube and on my Patreon. And yeah, this will most likely tank my YouTube metrics for this video because most people won't stick with this, but that's okay. I will also say, if you'd like to support this channel, help us through this time, you're welcome to join the Patreon group, which is down below. You're welcome to make donations through our PayPal. We've got a PayPal link down below. And you're also welcome to sign up for our classes at classes.azdrone. So I just thought I'd let you guys know that. No, this isn't a marketing pitch. This is, we're in a situation right now. And if it continues to drag out, this is going to impact the business more. I just need to get through these 5 weeks so that we can get back to work and having fun with talking about cool drone flights and progression reports and all of those things. I gotta say, I can't believe that I made it through this. I thought I was gonna lose my composure here today. It's been a rough time. We'll also, I'm open to happy thoughts, prayers, good vibes, whatever you've got to share. It's greatly appreciated, and I appreciate all of you for being subscribers on the channel. So stay tuned. We'll post when we can. And I'd love to hear back from any of you who've dealt with the medical system trying to move something up. And, it's not a selfish thing or anything. Being in long-term pain for so long, it really kind of puts you on edge and a little jumpy and a lot afraid. So right now I'm very nervous about what's happening to me. So, all right, everybody, keep a watch out, and hopefully we can get back to the business of AZ drone and not the business of Rich chasing doctors. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you again soon.